This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत, झूमेगा भारत.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one of its kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information and news to Indian Americans. Headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bharat FM airs shows out of Cincinnati, Chicago and Phoenix. We take pleasure in our ability to cater to your bhakti, chusti, sphurti, shakti and masti needs with our audio and visual shows. Check out bharatfm.com for our online program schedule and archives. I'm sure the content will definitely tickle your senses. Tune in via the 24-hour web streaming on bharatfm.com or via the Bharat FM app. More information can be procured at 513-488-5070.
Hello everyone and welcome to Swarotsav, a celebration of Indian classical music. I'm Sonal Vivek, मैं हूँ आपकी होस्ट और हमेशा की तरह I'm very excited for this episode of Swarotsav as well. आजकल इंडिया में और यूएस में बहुत गर्मी है, वियर्ड वेदर चल रहा है और ऐसे में हमारा जो हज़ारों साल पुराना अभिजात शास्त्रीय संगीत है वही मन को ठंडक पहुंचाता है. तो आज के एपिसोड में भी हमारा यही प्रयास है. Again, just like every episode, I'm very excited to have a very talented artist presented in this episode as well. तो आज हमारे साथ है मुंबई से a very talented Indian classical vocalist Pandit Nishad Bakre ji. I have been hearing about it for him for a while through a common friend, but never really got a chance to interact with him. So I'm excited to finally meet him in person and enjoy his live performance today. Pandit Bakre ji has been privileged to learn Indian classical music since a very early age from his father, Shri Sadashiv Bakre ji, and then he continued his journey of learning Indian classical music through different talented gurus. काफ़ी सारे अलग अलग गुणी गुरुजनों से इन्होंने संगीत की शिक्षा ली है, जैसे कि डॉक्टर राम देशपांडे जी, पंडित उल्लास कशालकर जी, पंडित दिनकर कैकिनी जी, डॉक्टर अरुण द्रविड़ जी एंड पंडित मधुकर जोशी जी. इन सब गुणी जनों से इन्होंने संगीत की शिक्षा ली. मगर in addition to learning from different guru, he also learned different घराना गायकीज. So अलग अलग गुरुजनों से इन्होंने अलग अलग घरानों की गायकी भी सीख ली है. So he is an exponent of three घरानास, ग्वालियर, आगरा एंड जयपुर. और उनकी गायकी में भी इन तीन घरानों का संगम दिखाई देता है. So today I'm sure we'll get a glimpse of a beautiful fusion of these three gharanas, and through his creative exploration we'll get to enjoy a different classical version of these three gharanas. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Pandit Nishad Bakre ji and enjoy his performance first, followed by some chit-chatting towards end of the episode. Hello Nishad ji and welcome to Swarotsav.
Namaste.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you today on our episode and looking forward to a wonderful performance. So as we discussed, we would like to hear to you sing first and then we'll continue with some chit-chatting towards end of the program. So I'll just hand it over to you now. तो आज पहले आप हमें क्या सुना रहे हो?
First, I will render Rag Kedar.
Okay.
And following that, I will render one Bandish Ki Thumri in Rag Kafi.
Great. Okay, so
I'm also very happy today to perform on your platform.
Pleasure is ours. I'm glad that you accepted our invite and joined us today. All right, so stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you. जोगेरा जोगीरा वला रे मन बिला जोगीरा अब मन जोगीरा साझ भई अब मन भूल बेटा के सो जोगी भूल जे नीता कौन सरस प्यारे न्यारे हो सुख को गया अटक सो जोगीरा उलझे नित कौन सरस प्यारे न्यारे को सुख को गया अटक सो जोगीरा जोगीरावला हरे मन बिलम रईने साझ भैया बमन फूल बैठा है सो जोगीरा जोगीरावला हरे जोगीरावला हरे मन बिलम रईने साझ भैया अब मन मूल बैठा कैसे जोगी जोगी जोगीरा जोगीरावा जोगीरावला रे मन बिलम रईने साँझ भई अब मन भूल बैठा जोगीरा जोगीरावला रे जोगीरावला रे मन बिलम रईने साँझ भई अब मन भूल बैठा जोगी जोगी हाँ जोगीरा जोगीरावला रे मन जोगीरावला रे मन बिलम रईने साँझ भई अब मन भूल बैठा कैसो जोगीरावला साज भई अब मन भूल बैठा कैसो जोगी रावला जोगी रावला जोगी रा जोगी जोगीरा 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 वाला जोगीरा वाला अरे मन विलवर ये निदा गवई अब मन जोगीरा जोगीरा हरे मन विलवर ये निदा जोगीरा जोगीरा वाला रे मन विलवर ये निदा गवई अब मन भूल बैठा जोगीरा छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर तुम तो महाज्ञान अत प्रवीण तुम तो महाज्ञान अत प्रवीण सब विध जानत हो पहचानत हो विद अपने घर की लाड़ लड़ाए लाडली को लीजो मनाए घर प्यार सरस गरबा लाव लाव तुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर 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 सुगर बल माधुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर 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 सुगर बल माधुम छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर छतर सुगर बल माधुम छतर 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 सुगर बल माधुम छतर जतर सुगर जतर जतर सुगर परमा तुम जतर सुगर परमा बकर हो रे भैया तो नवे नीलार क्या जान विद की साज तुम जतर सुगर जतर सुगर जतर सुगर बलमा Thank you. Now 5 minutes I will render Rag Kafi. देखो देखो रे सया धूम मचावत 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 कैसे जाऊं पनिया भरन जमुना को कैसे जाऊं पनिया भरन जमुना को देखो देखो रे सया धूम मचावत देखो देखो रे सया धूम देखो रे सया धूम मचावत कैसे जाऊं पनिया भरन जमुना को कैसे जाऊं पनिया भरन जमुना को देखो देखो रे सया धूम मचावत देखो देखो रे सया धूम देखो रे देखो रे से धूम मचावत रे देखो देखो रे सया धूम मचावत देखो देखो रे सया देखो सया देखो रे देखो रे सया जमुना को देखो देखो रे सयाधु।
वाह वाह वाह, क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया। आई जस्ट कांट बिलीव इट्स ऑलमोस्ट एन आवर यू आर सिंगिंग। कैसे एक घंटा बीत गया समझ में भी नहीं आया। आई रियली लव्ड राग केदार। आई heard it after quite some time, and of course the Kafi Bandish was beautiful too. Uh, thank you to your accompanying artists. I forgot to
Yeah,
mention the names in the beginning. I think on
yeah,
tabla we have Rohit Dev, and
yes.
on harmonium we have Anand Joshi ji. I don't have the names for the accompanying artists on Tanpura.
Yeah, both are my disciples. One is Srirang Datar, and here is Chinmay Lele.
Thank you for your accompaniment throughout this one. It was so beautiful to see your interactions, and all of you were so engrossed and enjoying the whole performance together. So it was even a visual treat apart from the treat to our ears. So it was a lovely performance. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Uh, a little bit about yourself, Nishad ji. आपने इतने साल से इतने सारे गुरुओं से संगीत की शिक्षा ली है, तो अगर आप कुछ इस जर्नी के बारे में बताएं तो इट वुड बी रियली इंटरेस्टिंग टू आवर ऑडियंस।
Yeah, uh, I will tell it quite shortly. Uh, I was initiated by my parents. Uh, Both my father and my mother, they are into music. My father is himself, he is a senior disciple of Pandit Dinkar Kaikane ji, and my mother is a Kathak dancer.
Okay.
So uh, he both of them initiated me, and I learned from my father in my childhood, but that wasn't very swift because he had job, and it was my schooling days. So later on, just as we know that, you know, that घर का डॉक्टर नहीं चलता, तो that way he sent me to Dr. Ram Deshpande. He used to stay in Dombili, where I used to stay in my childhood. So from then it was quite serious. It was rigorous training quite. I used to stay there at his place, my Guruji's place, and learn for hours together. And that went on like for 10 to 12 years. It went on, and then uh, he quite after these many years, I listened to Pandit Dinkar Kaikaniji's one record, his Khem Dhwani. I remember I listened to his Khem Dhwani, and it is his own rag, his own composed rag. So that time it was quite, I had learned for quite many years from Deshpande ji. So I asked whether I could learn some things from Kaikani ji also, because that was in our home, because my father was learning from him. So he said okay, and then I went to Kaikani Guruji, and he was quite old that time. He that time even asked me that you have come quite late, a little late. But still he taught me one on one. He was not very well in those days, but still he used to teach me, and from almost 4 to 5 years I learned from him different ragas and all. And then after his sad demise, uh, then Pandit Ullas ji Kashalkar, he was like always like a, you know, I used to follow him, and we had some acquaintance I had with him. So he told me to go to Pandit Madhukar Buaji, which is from Gwalior Gharana. So I learned few ragas and bandishes from him. And then when Ullasji came here in Pune, I started learning from him also. And meanwhile, for few Jaipur ragas, I have learned from Dr. Arun Dravid. So this way, I was actually privileged to learn from, it happened that I got to learn from different gurus.
That is so wonderful. I mean, you are so fortunate to have learned from so many talented people, and that too three different घराना गायकीज. So हमारे ऑडियंस में जो है जिनको ज़्यादा पता नहीं है घराना गायकी के बारे में, अगर आप थोड़ा सा संक्षिप्त में बताएं कि क्या-क्या खूबियाँ है हर एक घराने की, differences or specialities of each घराना.
Gharana actually, uh, what has happened that much of documentation has not happened in our, rather in our culture. So as much as I have seen, Gharana is like a university. We learn some basic things in music, like we go to classes for examinations and like that. So that is like secondary school. So to go into deeper aspects and deeper nuances, you need to go to some specialized university. So that way, these are universities of Gwalior, Jaipur,
Yeah.
Gharana,
True.
then Kirana, Agra. So what these are actually, as much as I have seen, they are presentation formats. These are the each gharana tell you that how you present a particular rag, or how should be your presentation, and in that presentation there are many nuances which add on to your
True.
rendition, keep on adding to your rendition. So like I was doing some gamak or behla in Kedar. So that is Gwalior specialization. Also it is done in Agra, because Gwalior and Agra are very close gharanas. Agra is some extension to Gwalior. So so these are the ways. This behla. So the way of singing, and then its development or improvisations. This is how it's sung in Gwalior. Agra also, these nuances are used, but in Agra it is more, it's little more vigorous than Gwalior. They use this, we call it as Matti Tan. This gamak power they use much more. So if this is how the voice is in Gwalior, Agra will be so, of course, these are quite old forms.
Right.
According to time, it has changed a bit also. But this is what the Gharana tells you. And through this, that presentation gets different dimensions. In a way, they are actually different kinds of shapes. They are different shapes formed by notes. So that gives different dimensions to your picture which you try to paint on the canvas.
That's a beautiful way you have explained the three types. Thank you so much for that. One thing I always like to ask everyone I interview with, that what's your most favorite top few rag? I mean, all rags are beautiful, but every singer
Yeah.
always has those couple of special ones that have a special place in the heart, right? So, which ones are yours?
Actually, it's really difficult because, uh, frankly speaking, means it's not nothing about modesty or something, but the rag which I take on to render, I think that becomes my favorite for that at that time. This is what really I experience. Because then at that time there is no other rag in my mind, rather it never happens. So, and that rag, it becomes favorite.
That's an interesting way of thinking. Yeah, I like that. Moving on, one thing I always discuss with many people is about the younger generation kind of gravitating towards Western music or like pop music kind of a thing, and the patience level of the younger generation is going down in general, and uh, classical music is all about thera and patience and exploring and going deep into music. So I always like to debate with people on what their thoughts are on the any changes that might be needed in the format or the way that Indian classical music is presented or learned to keep the interest in the younger generation growing and not let this diminish to a great extent. So I was just wondering, what are your thoughts? आपकी क्या सोच है इस बारे में?
I think more education about music has to happen, uh, because this music, rather most of the time it doesn't reach to uh, the people in the right way, the way it has to, because this music or some arts, you need to be educated to understand that art. Just कान को अच्छा लग रहा है, till that stage it's okay, that's a general way of appreciation. But to really appreciate these kind of arts, you need to get well educated. Only then you will be able to exactly listen properly and understand. Means it's a little like, through your intelligence, you it's a journey from intelligence to your mind or to your soul. So it doesn't direct, sometimes it may appeal directly to your soul, but first, if it from intelligence it goes to your soul, so that is a much more higher level to appreciate. So I think, and this has happened even before independence. Pandit Vishnu Digambar Paluskarji and Vishnu Narayan Bhatkandeji. These two people, they have done a, like can't we can't even imagine the way of work they have done for music, that whatever this is going on right now, it is all their hard earned efforts they have done actually. And even the stage songs, that Natya Sangeet, which that time happened, so there was this motivation to spread these ragas. But this all has happened now, it's almost now 100 years. And now it is again time that proper education in a different way also has to happen, because examination system is not as much helping as it used to help in those days to spread the music. So in other some other ways it has to be done, so that the next generation should be able to appreciate it. They will surely like it, because as much I am seeing, the most uh, those who pursue classical music, or rather listen to it, they will always tell you that how vast and how big this field is.
ट्रू फ्यूजन के बारे में आपके क्या विचार है? आई नो सम पीपल सपोर्ट दैट, सम पीपल completely hate that, some are on the brink.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, what's your take on it?
I think fusion should be an extension to your basic exploration of classical music. It can be an extension, but it can't overrun your basic exploration. Means, and that basic exploration in itself takes time, however intelligent you are. So that many years, if you put into this exploration of basic things of classical music, and if you are talented and intelligent too, that you can go to the next level of exploration, or not next level I would say, but a different dimension for exploration, then you can move for fusion or something. But if this is not happening, the initial stage is not happening, then the kind of satisfaction which you are expected to get from this art, you will not get it, that I'm sure for. And also one thing that because fusion, there are some limitations, because first thing, avartan factor is completely get misses in fusion, especially the vilambit avartan, that is the vilambit arc, that is lost. And another thing is that our ragas, they are like they are shapes, they are different kinds of personalities which are formed due to different shapes formed by swaras. So these all nuances are lost in fusion also. But as I said, it can be an extension, of course, but can't rely it as a as a propagation of classical music. You can't rely on that.
I agree. I completely agree with you. I think there is a very thin line where you have to maintain that balance and not ruin your base, your foundation. And it's very difficult to achieve that balance, I believe. So, yeah, that's very well said. I know you are into teaching and spreading classical music as well. So, could you share some thoughts about your teaching experience?
Yeah, my teaching experience has been very good, uh, because I don't know, maybe by God's grace, I have got those who come to me to learn, uh, they are completely dedicated, and means and they are quite loyal also. to this form of music. So in that way, I can see that the younger generation or the next generation is quite keen. Means if you are able to uh, communicate to them the right nuances of this form, surely they can get into this, get interested, and can surely pursue this. So for me, this experience has been very good. Of course, all these years, I have found out the different techniques for different ages also. Like in previous years, even to small children, I used to teach some, heavy things, but gradually I have now I can bifurcate or make some compartments that this is for children, this is for so and so age group. That way you should do, I think, because uh, there are some things even in classical music that even small kids or children get interested into. I know many bandishes in Gwalior, especially, that small kids, they sing very interestingly with complete they enjoy it.
Uh-huh.
So these in this way, education can happen very easily, and they can grasp the subject enjoyingly.
Do you also teach online?
uh, in pandemic, I think everybody had to. uh, yeah, but occasionally I do teach
Okay.
online also.
Yeah, there are many people,
But
especially in US,
of
I know,
course,
who are interested in learning. So that's why I just wanted to spread the word that if whether you are available to teach online or not.
yeah, online option is there, but that has to have some kind of combination of face to face also. So that way it can work very nicely.
Right. I think it's definitely a totally different experience sitting next to your guru and learning. I really miss that.
Yeah,
I learn online, so that's the best thing I can do sitting here in US. So it's
yeah,
better than not learning. So I think I do miss that face to face, sitting next to your guru kind of a setup for sure.
true.
Well, that was wonderful talking to you, Nishad ji, and of course the performance was so awesome. I mean, we thoroughly enjoyed. I was a
Thank
little
you.
worried with some of the technology issues initially, but I think
Yeah,
it went so well. We could hear you so well with a very good sound quality. Thanks to Amolji for all the setup and helping with the arrangement of the
yeah.
sound and all that. And again, once again, thanks to all the accompanying artists. It was wonderful, wonderful having this live performance. I mean, you just cannot replace the live accompanying artists with machine tabla or tanpura or all those things. It has its own beauty, own flavor. So we thoroughly enjoyed the whole performance. Thank you so much, Nishad ji, for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
It was wonderful, wonderful having you. And we look
Thank
forward
you.
to having more such sessions with you in future as well.
Sure, sure. Whatever can, to my capacity.
Sure. Well, thanks once again, and we conclude our concert here today with this.
Thank you.
Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, welcome and adab. You are listening to Bharat FM, a one of its kind, multilingual, eclectic provider of entertainment, information, and news to Indian Americans.
This is Bharat FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.